Hello and welcome. What if I told you that AI can animate? All right, so in the past, I'm going to give you just a small history lesson here. If you think about animation studios, you think about, for instance, the One Piece anime, which is the most famous, most watched anime. And in order to animate such an anime, there is an entire studio, which is known as Toei Studio, and they take care of animating One Piece. And I think that it's not only One Piece that they animate. I am pretty sure that they do animate some other stuff, but it goes to show that animation is not easy. It is one of the most difficult things that you can do. But you can animate right now using AI. And I've been animating some One Piece scenes that particularly will take maybe 3 years to animate by these studios because they're not using AI. And I've been animating them for the sake of the people. And most importantly, for my own sake, so that I can get to watch that 3 years before. Okay. And that is what we're going to be attempting to do in this video. All right. In this tutorial of this course, I'm going to go the extra mile to teach you how to create fantastic One Piece animations. Okay, so let me just share my screen here and let's get going. If my camera stops showing my face or if I stop moving, then it's because of the fact that there is a limit, but you'll still be able to hear my voice and it's going to completely be synchronized. Now, these are the One Piece scenes. So there is a particular One Piece manga chapter where, by the way, the manga chapter is not like this. I think it's important that I show you what the manga chapter looks like before we dive deep into this. So if you go and look, for instance, One Piece manga chapter 1141, let's just say scan, and we have websites that particularly host these chapters where you can just go and click a particular chapter and then you can watch it. Okay. Now, in this particular instance, we have what the chapter looks like. These are what the chapters do look like. All right. And so, therefore, you have to realize that the manga chapters look black and white and they look nothing like this. But I'll show you how you can transform a manga chapter frame into a colored picture or a colored frame that can be used for animation. All right. And so here, this is the infamous scene where Loki attacks Elbaf by hitting it with the hammer. I've already animated the scene, which you can check on my channel. But in this particular instance right here, I'm not gonna reanimate it because we already animated it in a previous module of this particular course. But here are the finished or the final frames. Now, usually, if you'd like to make an animation, do not take the entire chapter because I mean, if you have time and you want to do it, good for you. But generally speaking, in the entire in an entire One Piece chapter or any kind of anime chapter, there's only about a couple of frames that are super sought after and viral that people want to see animated. For instance, people don't really care to see these first ones here because they're just needless drama that just escalates and escalates and escalates. But in another or on a this one is what most people are really interested about, right? A frame where we have Loki of Elbaf, and basically he's about to hit Elbaf with his hammer, and so on and so forth. Right, you get the point. And so you take the most viral stuff and you animate it. Now over here, these are the frames that I managed to transform into a particular uh, One Piece like or One Piece looking pictures. And you can see that these are all the frames that I'm going to need in order to create the animation of Luffy stopping Loki. Because when Loki was first released, he was, of course, just talking nonsense. He's not a bad guy, but he was talking as if he's going to destroy Elbaf because they held him prisoner and so on and so forth. But it turns out he's a good guy. And in the anime or in the manga chapter, Zoro noticed, and he told in this particular scene right here, he told his brother, because this is Loki's brother, believe it or not, even though Loki is about 4 times bigger than him, taller than him, but he told him that he's just talking. He's not going to do anything. Do not believe a word he says. That's what Zoro said, because Zoro has also been in that place where he was tied to a pole and he was tied and left there to die by the Marines. And so, therefore, he knows that in that particular instance, you might not be yourself. And so he told his brother, do not believe what he's saying. He's just talking. And then here, when Luffy was about to attack Loki, Zoro shouted to Luffy so that he needs to stop or not hit him so hard. He told him, this is what he told him in the chapter. He told him to loosen your grip on him because he's wounded and his wounds are going to reopen. Loosen your grip. And that's why here in this particular case, you can see that Luffy is punching or is going to punch Loki with no haki. Okay. Because if he had punched him with haki, I believe that he would have perished because he was wounded fatally. Okay. By Shamrock, which is turned out to be Shanks's brother. Now, these are the frames that I'm about to transform into videos, and I'm going to show you the full stack of tools that I'll be using to transform all these frames into videos and the context. So the context, this scene starts off by, well, we have a view of the Atom Tree of Elbaf, the land of Elbaf. Obviously the Atom Tree is bigger than everything. Here we have the giants. They're standing, and it seems to be that there is a foot right here and a shadow. Now that shadow is none other than that of Loki or Prince Loki. And then here we see the camera kind of moves, and then we have Prince Loki, and he's ready. It's a top, not a complete top drone view angle from the top, but it's a let's just say maybe an eagle kind of view. Uh, and we can see the details here. These are the giants. They're kind of squaring off. These small people here are Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji. Another giant female here, and they're standing and squaring against Loki. Of course, you can see Loki's bleeding here all over the ground because he's fatally wounded, and obviously he's just talking some nonsense. He's not going to attack anything. He's just sad and because they put him in shackles for years. Now here we have Sanji arguing with Luffy, kind of like, what are we going to do about this crazy situation? This guy has the power to destroy Elbaf, and we freed him. And then here he's just shouting that I'm going to do it. And then here the giants are absolutely worried. This is his brother. His name is Hiredin, and he's pleading with him basically to just stop. But then Zoro told him, your brother's just talking. He's just obviously he's angry. Do not believe what he's saying. And then here we have Luffy is basically willing to take matters into his own hand because he promised that if anything happens, he's going to stop Loki if things go south, as they say. Now here we have Loki, and he's basically screaming that he's going to hit. Now Luffy jumps. I'm going to use both these two frames, this one and this one, to create what we call a start and an ending frame animation. Here we have Luffy with his haki, and he's angry, kind of. And here Zoro senses that his captain is angry. Then he basically says, do not hit him hard. He's obviously wounded. You don't want to kill him. And then here, Luffy is just obviously he listened to Zoro 100% because, as you can see here, his hand is not he's not using haki. It's just basically rubber. It's just gonna hit Loki with his rubbery kind of hand. So it's gonna do some damage, but it's not the same damage that it's gonna do if he were to hit him with haki, because we know Luffy has such a strong haki. And then here we have Luffy hits Loki, and that's where the scene ends. It's not going to be easy to animate this, but we're going to have some fun, okay, if you're willing to have some fun. So let's get this thing started. First of all, by maybe taking, I like this particular frame. It's amazing. So if I were to turn it into a colored frame, this is what I would do. I would copy the entire image here, and I would go to canva.com. I would need to crop just this part here where Loki is about, or not about, but he basically has hit Elbaf, or not Elbaf. He hit the tree. Subsequently, he's just gonna cause some damage in Elbaf because it seems like he has some power to control the underworld, and the monsters of the underworld are kind of his friends or something, and they obey him. Now here I'm gonna click custom size. Usually I would go for a 3 by 2 because as you can see here, this looks like a 3 by 2. Right? It looks like a 3 by 2, very close to a square-ish type design. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste. Now, when I paste, usually when you paste a manga chapter frame or image, it usually is going to paste the entire chapter. And so therefore, what you need to do here is you just need to crop in Canva. You can just crop either by just doing it like this, or you can just double click and you can crop like this, which I don't really like because it's just not practical. The practical way is to just crop like this, however you want. And you can do this with any image. Now, once you've cropped, you can just go ahead and increase the size, increase the size, increase the size. Now, if you notice, this is not a 3 by 2. It's close, but it's not. It's more like a 2.5 by 2 here, as far as Canva is concerned. If you can see that little rectangle, that black little rectangle right there, it shows it's a 2.5 by 2. And so if I were willing to resize, I could because I have Canva Pro. If you don't have Canva Pro, then you need to start a new project and start it at a 2.5 by 2. Okay, and then you copy this image into that other project. But in my case, because I have Canva Pro, I can just click custom size here, 2.5, and I could just resize the same design and stay on the same particular tab. And by the way, don't think that I'm rich because I have Canva Pro. I know people that are not even making money online that are using Canva Pro, okay? And they're using it because it's just worth it, okay? So think about it, $4.5 a month. That's what it's going to cost you to buy a 1 year of Canva membership. Some people spend that on, on a sandwich or on maybe 2 or 3 coffees. So I think it's worth it to spare 2 or 3 coffees on something useful. Of course, if you're using Canva, because you can use Canva for anything, right? From your CV to whatever. Now, over here, I'm just gonna auto adjust the colors a bit. And another thing is, I would like to go back to the adjustment option and add some sharpness and some clarity. And the reason is because I just want to make sure that I show the lines, okay? Now, this is the design. It's a black and white. So it doesn't really look good now, but wait. So if I go and I can name this Loki, Ragnir Elbaf, whatever. That's just a title I want to give. By the way, Ragnir is the name of his hammer, and his hammer is a live creature because it has a devil fruit, it seems. It can transform into things. Now, here I'm going to download this picture, and now the magic starts. Now, have you heard of a tool called Google Gemini? I'm pretty sure because I've introduced you to it, and we have a massive tutorial about it in this particular course. If you go to Google Gemini, you can create some amazing stuff, right? Even live action type stuff, like this, for instance. Now, this is not the one, but this one, for instance. This one is Luffy gonna hit Loki with the gear third. All right, and you can do this with Google Gemini, believe it or not. Now, I'm going to click on create an image, and Google Gemini, for those that don't know this, they're using a model called Google Nano Banana. The name is kind of weird a bit, Nano Banana. I don't see how they were in a meeting, and then they were trying to come up with a name, And then they were thinking, and then there's an executive that probably said, "Hey, you know what? I think that it's best that the name of this tool should be Nano Banana. I really believe in that name." And then everybody said, "Yeah, that's a great name. Let's do this." But these are some of the things that happen behind closed doors. Now, if you want to use Google Nano Banana, you have to go to Gemini. By default, it will start a new chat, and then you can click on Create Image. And obviously, here, what you need to do, once you've downloaded your image, your black and white image, you need to drag and drop it, or you can click plus, add files, upload. However you want to do it, there's multiple ways to do this. And you need to click create an image again because sometimes it just is removed. So over here, I need this to be colored. Now, obviously, I have a prompt. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go to Sora.com because the last time I used that prompt was on Sora. I'm just coming in here to retrieve my prompt. I also use Sora to generate fantastic images for animation, by the way. So it's not like Sora is not good in creating, images, but pretty much when it comes to turning a chapter into a frame, Gemini is obviously better. Where Sora is better is real life type stuff, where you ask it to generate a realistic looking image of that particular anime chapter. That's where Sora is great. When it comes to animation, not so much. Here, obviously, you see Luffy, but it's not really like Luffy. It looks like Luffy, but not really Luffy. But when it comes to Google Gemini, because Google has a vast data, and obviously it's Google, so they have the entire Google data. Now, over here, my prompt is simple. Okay, my prompt is improve and transform animation quality, Toy Anime Studio world class level anime, One Piece anime quality. And here I'm going to say this is Prince Loki, or this is Giant Prince Loki of Elbaf hitting the giant Adam tree with his gigantic hammer Ragnir. All right, so if I were to hit the send command, it should go ahead and generate a fantastic looking frame. Of course, that frame, the colored frame, is then used to create a video. That video is then used to, of course, create the anime or to animate a particular scene, whatever scene you'd like to animate. So over here, you can see it did a fantastic job of it, but I can see that here it basically has made Loki's hair blonde. And we know now that Loki's hair is not blonde. So I'm going to copy this image and I'm going to head to a new chat. Again, create an image, paste. And I'm going to say Prince Loki's hair should be purple. His beard as well. And I would say edit the image attached. So, apart from the fact that Google Gemini is fantastic when it comes to taking a completely nonsensical black and white image and turning it into a frame, an anime frame, it can also do massive edits. If you have a picture of yourself where you have a lot of hair and you want to edit it so that you can become bold or so that you can have blonde hair, try testing Google Gemini with that. Now here, the issue is that it kind of thinks that Prince Loki is kind of like an old man. So I'm gonna remove the beard part from the prompt by editing. Another fantastic feature of Google Gemini is that you can edit prompts, and that's amazing. You can even edit prompts where you have attached an image. That's even more amazing because you cannot do this in ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, if you've attached a prompt, if you have a prompt with an image attached, you cannot edit that prompt. You can edit prompts with text only, if the prompt only has text, but you cannot edit a prompt that has an image attached to it, or I think even a file, if I'm correct, but I'm sure about the image part. Another interesting, fantastic thing about Gemini is that not only can you upload images, you can also upload videos. I once uploaded a 59-minute video and it took about 2 or 3 minutes, and then Google Gemini gave me the entire transcript, not the correct transcript, but it explained my video to me in a way that was um, shocking, I should say, because I just couldn't believe it. And it's not a YouTube video; it's a video that I uploaded from my own computer. 59 minutes took it about 2 to 3 minutes to entirely understand the video, and the video was not in English. The video was in Arabic, and it understood everything. And I was just like, this tool is really getting strong. It's kind of like the Yahoo Google part two, where at first there was Yahoo, then we thought Yahoo is going to basically lead the world, and then Google suggested to Yahoo that they should buy Google for 50 mil. Then Yahoo refused to buy Google. Then now we see Google is eventually maybe 6,000 times more valuable than Yahoo. Nobody cares about Yahoo. So here, there is our image. Another interesting thing you can do if you want to, you can add effects. So if I were to copy this image here, I could go and click create an image as well. And I could just say, Loki's hammer has lightning powers. And I'm saying this just so that they can add some lightning powers because I see no lightning there. All right. There should be some lightning. Also, the mountains should be icy. The trees should have some ice. You could edit all you want. Think of yourself as the executive producer of the One Piece anime. And now it looks much better. Except for it added like another hammer. On top of the hammer, Ragnar, black metal, hammer has lightning powers. And now I made sure that I described Ragnar pretty well because it seems like Ragnar is made of some black metal. I'm not sure if it's black metal because Thor's hammer, and that's where the inspiration for Ragnar comes from. Thor's hammer is Mjolnir, and Mjolnir is not entirely dark. It's kind of like zinc color, you know, but I'm not sure. Now it seems like every time I ask it that Loki's hammer has lightning powers. Okay, so I'm gonna say add some lightning to the attack. This way, it doesn't add another hammer on top of the hammer. So I mean, of course, these tools have limitations, but you gotta find a way to work around that, and do not get trapped into the complaining part where you just sit there and you say, "Well, this tool is so stupid. I cannot believe why does it not do this." No, I would just recommend that you just try to get the best out of the tool without trying to argue with it. All right, now I'm going to copy and now I'm going to start cleaning up. I'm going to paste and I'm going to say Elbath is snowing. Mountains should be covered in ice. I mean, I've never really saw a tree or the wood of the trees covered in ice. I never saw that. I don't think that's even possible because obviously the dynamics are not going to make it unless the tree doesn't have any leaves. Maybe that is possible then, but as long as the tree has a lot of leaves, like the Adam tree, I don't think it should be icy. But here, as you can see, they kind of made everything into ice, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna pause, and I think I'll take this image. I think this one is great. Now, of course, the tool that I would use to make an animation is Grok.com, Elon Musk's tool. And one last thing I'd like to make an emphasis about is this image or images generated by Gemini usually don't have the highest quality when it comes to pixelization. They're pixelized, okay? And so, in order to improve the quality, you can take an image into, particularly into here, Canva. And in Canva, you have a option which is called image upscaler. And the image upscaler allows you to upscale an image. That's basically the name is explains what it does. It explains the function. And so you can even go up to 16x, but obviously this image is not so bad, so we don't really need to go to 16x. Max is 8x. But 8x explains what it means, and what it means is that it's going to take the image quality from, and it's going to 8x it. Okay, it's going to make it 8 times better. Other things that Canva can do, it can remove stuff using the magic eraser. Now, I usually don't like these things here, these exclamation marks, because those are better for people that would watch a chapter or say read a chapter, because usually a chapter has text, some text pop-ups, but because we're trying to use this to generate a video, I don't see why we should keep those. And so therefore, I'm gonna use the edit tool and I'm gonna click on magic eraser. And here I can use the brush and I can just brush these black exclamation marks like this. And I could just hit the erase button and magically, just like that, it's going to erase that. And I mean, that's why it's called the magic eraser. All right, as you can see, they were magically erased. Now, I'm also going to erase the Google Gemini logo from here because it might alter the animation. And then I will erase this, but this one is a little tricky because it's stuck to the hammer. I don't know about that one. I don't really think it would be wise to remove it. But let me see if I can do it, because I'm afraid that if I do remove it, that it's going to take a big chunk of the hammer with it and it's going to ruin our animation. So I'm going to try to be tricky and only remove around it. All right, I'm not going to do something. All right, like this, and let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to click to undo what I did and to keep this in case it looks good with it rather than without it. All right, it doesn't really look so bad. I think it looks great. I think that I just need to maybe magically erase just this little bit here. All right, just to kind of make it look a little better. Obviously, the hammer is made of metal, and so therefore it can generate those sparks, those fiery sparks. I mean, in my dreams, it can do that. I don't think it's physically possible that a hammer generates sparks, but uh, if it's hit against a solid object like metal hitting metal, it can do it. But this is metal hitting a tree. But anyways, let's just say that that is hockey. Now here I can auto adjust. All right, so something went wrong. No problem. I'm gonna try to move the image a bit to kind of refresh and clear the cache, and then I'm gonna auto adjust. These things can happen sometimes in Canva. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty good auto adjustment, except for it removed some brightness, which I don't like. So I'm going to add a little more brightness, put it at -6 there. And then here, Luffy attacks, not Luffy, Loki attacks Elbaf. Now from that first frame, we managed to get the second frame. And I think it's only logical if we look at both of them together, one next to the other, so that you can get to see how good this is. Now, 700 or by 600, 750 by 600 is not such a big quality. I'm gonna go a little higher than that, maybe like this in terms, because pixels mean quality. The lower the pixels, the lower the quality. and we're doing these animations usually for videos. I don't know how many views that video there might have gotten, but I did plenty of One Piece animations. Okay, and a lot of them went well. As a matter of fact, I think I got something like a 32 to 30, 33 to 34 million views just from doing One Piece animations on YouTube. Now, if I go to Grok now, I can close Gemini. We can need to go back to Canva because I said we need to juxtapose and look at each one. Now, look at this. So this is where we start. What we started with, okay? This is where we ended. Started with this, ended with this. Started with this, ended with this. I always want you to notice, and trust me. Well, I don't need to say trust me because it's clear, but if you talk to any animation studio, they'll tell you it's hell to turn this to this manually. I just hope they start using AI, to be honest. Now, here in terms of Grok, all you need to do is to click on Imagine. And as long as you've got the image which you want to animate, you just need to drag and drop it. And so that's what I'm doing, dragging and dropping. All right, so having dragged and dropped this image, I need to say something, like type something to customize. Loki hits Elbaf with Ragnir. I could also add no music, no camera movement. I'll hit enter and then I'll just say uh, incredible damage, low motion. These are just some words I usually use. And I'm going to actually hit the submit request again so that it goes and starts the anime, or basically just refreshes and restarts the animation. Now, mind you, we have a bunch of frames to animate. How much should they take? I'll say maybe 20 minutes total. And then again, it will take us some time to edit this with CapCut, but I don't think this should take a while. Okay. But here I'm kind of showing you kind of how to animate. And you can see here, now this is not bad. It's not bad. There's a small missing part here from the hammer. I think that is because my image kind of I didn't pay attention to that, but in my image here it looks like there's a part missing from the hammer, though it's not. But this is absolutely not a bad frame. It's a pretty good edit. Okay, I like it. As a matter of fact, I could download it. Another thing about Grok is that you can upscale a video before downloading it. Simply, or what that means is that you will get your video in HD. In a moment right now, you'll be able to see that this is going to turn HD. As you can see now, it's HD, and you can download it. You can always check to see your image that you used by clicking image, toggling between image and video, image and video, image and video. You can even check the sound. Now, Grok is not so good with sound, okay? But if I were to place video AI video models, if I were to say which one is the best to the least, I used to say top is Google VO3, then Sora, then Midjourney, but now I'm convinced that Grok is actually should be in the top three. Okay, because it's just incredible, and only the people that have worked a lot or used Grok a lot would be able to understand what I'm saying, because it's just that good. Okay, it's incredible, actually. One of the best tools out there. Top three, in my opinion. Top three. Okay, so here, let's start. Now, this is basically not a very important animation. The first one. So, is this the tree of Elbaf? And you saw basically what I did here. I copy pasted the image into Grok, and you can do that instead of just dragging and dropping or clicking on the upload button. I would say the Atom tree of Elbaf. no camera movement, low motion, lightning in the sky, no music. Okay. And I can hit another submit. Now, usually when you upload an image to Grok, they will start generating the video without you customizing your prompt, and you just want to customize your prompt at all costs, because not customizing your prompt means that Grok is going to go on auto generation. And what that means is they're going to try to find out the best animation from their perspective, which might not be good from your perspective. Now, here, what I ask it to do is what is generated. There is some lightning. I would like to upscale every video that I generate. Simple reason is because these are long form videos, and usually long form videos don't do well in case they don't have high quality, because people can see the pixelization in it. But if you stick around, I have some tricks up my sleeve with CapCut, in which I can show you that CapCut has a bunch of features that can enable you to just improve the video quality drastically. And that is amazing. Okay. Three, actually, four things, four tips in particular that are going to enable you to take this from this to next level quality. Now, some might already see this as high quality footage. They might already say, well, you know what? I think this is already good. I'm not really convinced with Grok's sound, but I'll show you the power of sound effects. There's every particular sound effect you want is already there. So, as a matter of fact, I have a bunch of these sound effects myself. Now, successfully animated the first frame. Now we need to animate the second frame. So the way I want to do this is this frame here and this frame are what you call twins. What do I mean by that? I want the camera to move like this until it reaches Loki, who is on the other side standing to the giants. Okay, you can see the parallels here. And so, in order to achieve this, I usually use Kling AI, but I don't use Kling.com, right? Or KlingAI.com. There are websites that are called mediators, and what mediator means is that it includes every single tool. AI is its own software. Okay, it uses the Kling model to generate video. It's a Chinese company, but sometimes you don't just want to use Kling. Sometimes you want to use VO3. Sometimes you want to use Sora. Sometimes you want to use Motion. Sometimes you want to use Dance. And so, therefore, there are a bunch of things, a bunch of tools that you might use. KlingAI.com only offers Kling. Sora only offers Sora. Um, Runway ML only offers Runway ML. They have their Gen models. I believe that now they have Gen 4. And so, but if you want to use some other models, you have to use mediator websites like Leonardo AI or OpenArt. Okay. These two companies are basically quite the same. OpenArt allows you to download or to generate videos and images using multiple AI generation models. And Leonardo AI also does the same. And they actually even look the same. I mean, look at now they have different colors, obviously, but they kind of pretty much look the same. I mean, they're not so different from one another. Okay. So now, in my case, I'm using Leonardo, and without further ado, I'm not gonna go through all this stuff. I'm just gonna directly go and click video here. And you want to be smart about your credits usage with these tools. Do not use more than you need. All right. Do not try to use a lot. For instance, here you can see an animation that I did with basically Luffy inflating into gear. Is it gear third, I believe? And he inflates. This is one of the amazing things. Like here, for instance, I'm taking a picture with. This is actually me in a jacket, and I'm taking a picture with Venom and Mr. Doctor Doom, Doctor Doom. Yeah. Here I'm taking a picture with Captain America and Venom. And this is possible using these. Now, right here, I'm using a model, and you can check the models when you go to the video option. The models that exist are Kling, Halio, Dance. You also have Sora, VO3, LTX. Actually, every powerful model, right? And the one I use is Kling O1. It's not the most expensive, but it's actually the best one for value for investment, let's say. It costs 560 tokens. And for contrast, if you were to compare it with Sora 2 Pro, Sora takes 2000, VO 3.1 takes 2500, I believe. Actually, yeah, it takes for 8 seconds 2500. And I believe that with Sora 2, let's check Sora 2 out. Sora 2 Pro. For 8 seconds, it's 4,000. So Sora 2 is more expensive than VO3. Though I would argue that for animation purposes, VO3 is much better than Sora for animations. I'm not talking about real life, fake camera footage videos. When it comes to fake stuff or fake videos, Sora is much better. If you want to generate a fake video of a fake or celebrity or somebody, Sora is going to be much better. But when it comes to animation, making movies, because that's what I'm using AI for, and my students are using AI for, is to create AI movies. Okay, I believe VO3 is much better. Refer to a particular module where we've created a movie called Humanity. In that module, I showed the difference between the both or both tools, and VO3 won by a mile. Right now, here, this is the model I'm using. Another reason why I'm using this model is because I get to use a start frame and an end frame. And what a start frame and an end frame means is that I can use this one as my start frame, this one as my end frame, because I want to make it seem like the camera was here, then it starts slowly moving and reveals Loki. To kind of make it seem like that we are actually filming that stuff with a camera. That's how good this tool is. Midjourney also does have the start frame and an end frame if you want to use Midjourney for videos, but I'm not quite sure that Midjourney can do a fantastic job. Though there is an animator in the space right now that has just started to go a bit viral. His name is A Possible Edits. He's using Midjourney. A Possible Edits. People think that he's not using AI, but he's actually using AI all the way. And his name is A Possible Edits. But to be honest, to be fair to the guy, I mean, he's doing pretty fantastic. If you check his videos, the most popular video, 203,000, was just 1 month ago. Uh, for this one, he could have got paid like a 500, 600 bucks for one video, which is, I think it's more because this is 8 minutes. Maybe he could have made like anywhere from 500 to $1,000 from this video. And he definitely uses AI because here he's mentioning that he uses AI support to create the videos. And another thing is that I also know this because these are Midjourney type animations. I know a Midjourney animation when I see one. Okay, because I'm obviously I call myself the AI whisperer for a reason. Right? It's not to brag, but it's because I am. Okay. So here I'm gonna start with a starting frame and let's get going. So here I'd like to drag this as my starting frame. All right. So of course the weight is what really takes a toll usually, but once you put your start frame in place, you need to click and hit the end frame. Now, obviously, the end frame is, as I said, should be this one. And as I said, I want to make it seem like the camera moves from one side to the other. Now, if I try to not use any text whatsoever, if I don't type a prompt, I deleted that prompt that was there by default. You can see that I can no longer click on generate. You cannot generate without a prompt. So here, I'm going to say the camera slowly moves to reveal the giant with his hammer, ready to fight all. Now, let me just hit the submit command. Now, not immediately, but it takes about 560 tokens to generate a video. I have about 9,000 left in the tank. And I also have some left in 11 labs and Google Google Lab or labs.google. And here I'm only going for a 5-second clip. A I don't want more than that, obviously. So while letting this cook, we can go and animate some other scene. So for instance, here I'd like to animate this scene between Sanji and Luffy, and of course Zoro is in the back. But obviously Zoro understood everything. He understood that Loki is not a harmful guy because he was also in prison at one point. I know I said this in the beginning, and anybody that watched the first episodes of One Piece knows that Zoro should be the one to relate to Loki the most because he also was imprisoned and left there to die. Now, here, I would say Sanji is talking to Luffy. Zoro is behind them. Slow motion, no camera, movement. And I could also maybe add something like no music. Now, any comments you add will be taken into consideration by Grok. When you say no music, it usually means that you don't want music because Grok has their, I hate to say this because I like Grok, but they have their annoying music that they add to scenes. And it's not really good music for animation. But if you don't want music, just try to use no music. It might remove it 90% of the times. Sometimes it will not, but I would say maybe 90% of the times it will remove it. I'd say this scene here is not so bad. I'll take it, even though it's not slow motion, but I'll take it. But it looks like Sanji is scolding Luffy for freeing Loki. Now, I never saw Luffy to be wrong, not even once. He always has this instinct when it comes to people. He can actually sense when somebody is good or bad, and he kind of sensed that Loki's not bad, right? That's why he decided to free him, and that's why he's gonna basically make sure he heals after this by bringing him food and actually even eating food with him. Though everyone else in the island seems to think Loki is a demon, with the exception of Zoro and Luffy are clearly the ones, the only ones that can see that Loki is not a bad person. All right, now I've upscaled my video, so I need to download it as HD. And then I could just go back to Imagine there and also go to Leonardo because I think that my video should be ready here. And yes, the video is ready. You can see that the camera kind of moves. I don't mind this character kind of moving in here. I don't because it was in frame, and I don't mind the chain kind of moving a bit because the chain is attached to his leg. So we can explain it that to be that he because of the impact the chain is moving. But this is an incredible scene. So I'm gonna download. And also remember, you need to make sure that you remember your scene orders or the scene's orders, which one is first, which one is second. I always do a great job of remembering that, so don't worry about it. Now I'm going to copy the fifth scene, and this time I'm not going to use Leonardo, but I'm going to leave Leonardo there in the back burner. Now I'm going to copy paste this image of Loki, and I simply want to create an animation where he's shouting. And since he's considered the god of lightning in One Piece mythology, not Norse mythology is Thor. That's the god of lightning. But here they kind of combined everything in once. They combined Odin and Thor and Loki in Loki of One Piece. All three characters in one. Now, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, just redo the animation just so it gives me some time to write a prompt. And I'm going to say giant Loki is angry. Slow motion, lightning, as he shouts. no music. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but let's just hit the submit request. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be disappointing. Let me go and look at the other ones. The other ones are not going to be difficult. I think I have two more where I need to do the starting frame, ending frame, this one and this one, this one and this one, and this one and this one. And I'm kind of I don't kind of like the way that his eyes are shown. I'm gonna say his eyes are covered in band-aids as he screams and threatens. All right. Now, obviously, if you were to be imprisoned unfairly, I don't know how many years he's been in prison, but probably he's been in prison for 6 years. I mean, we could check this out. But if you've been in prison for 6 years as well, I think that you'd be pissed off. If, of course, if especially if you were there for nothing. I want to say, how long did Prince Loki of Elbaf, or how long was Prince Loki of Elbaf in prison for? Prince Loki, yeah, 6 years. My goodness, man. My goodness, that's a lot of time. 6 years. 6 years, and uh, obviously he's not a culprit. He just tried to save everybody. His eyes are covered in band-aids. We do not see his eyes. I hope that they just do a better job this time of hiding the eyes. I mean, Grok, you can't expect it to be perfect, but you need to try to do your best to work around the limitations, as I said. I don't know why I keep this One Piece tab open. I just need to close it, to be honest. I kind of like this, but uh, I could do a good thing of his eyes are covered in band-aids. He has snake-like, fiery demon eyes. Maybe. I mean, we could give people a glimpse, even though this is not canon. Not canon means it's not real, but sometimes you can add your own twist of creativity because, for instance, even big actors do that, like Johnny Depp. Uh, a lot of people saying that in Pirates of the Caribbean, that in multiple scenes he improvised. The same is said about Denzel Washington. I don't know why, but he has reptile demon-like eyes. I mean, his eyes do look like a reptile in at least in pretty much in One Piece. I don't know why, but it seems that I cannot get the eyes correct. Giant angry Loki, slow motion, lightning. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna say no character movement, no camera movement, no character movement, because it seems that Grok doesn't know what demon eyes look like. If Loki had eyes like this, he wouldn't be covering them in band-aids. He's only covering his eyes in band-aids because when he was a kid, everybody used to be afraid of his eyes because he has demon eyes. And I believe that anybody that has demon eyes would probably not want to show them to the world because they just make fun of him, you know, because the world is the ultimate bully. All right, now over here, again, seems like Grok is fixated on those eyes. Slow motion, no character movie, still frame. It seemed to be the easiest animation at first when I looked at it, but it looks like it's the most difficult, or it has been the most difficult. That's why I should never underestimate any animation. It seems like it's stuck at 99%. It went back to 88%. What is this? Come on. All right, I think I'll take this one in any day, to be honest, instead of that horrendous or those horrendous scenes from before. I think at least this one shows his anger and lightning, which is his power. So I'll download. And of course, HD quality. Now, I'll take this scene here. This one is where his brother Hiredin and the rest of the giants are kind of trying to plead with him to please stop, because they know he can do serious damage if he really wanted to. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to, but he could do serious, serious damage. He's obviously got some godly powers. And obviously that's why Emu kept wanting to recruit the guy because he's just now here they're kind of saying that the storage has exceeded the limit, and I know where this comes from. I'll just fix it in a moment. Usually storage is exceeded when you've uploaded way too many images like myself. And so therefore anytime they tell you storage is exceeded, you can click this manage button here and you can just go and delete some of your previous files. I'll try deleting about maybe 20 or something like that. Do not delete like 100 at once because if you do that, there's going to be a bug and they're going to think you're a bot and you're probably not going to be able to use Grok for one day. I know because it happened to me. One time I was just trying to delete everything so fast, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I couldn't use Grok for the rest of the day. I had to wait until next day because they thought I was a bot, and then all of a sudden they logged me out of the website and they were trying to check if I was human. I was like, I think it's because I overdid that delete, delete, delete. I did it like 100 times in 1 minute. I think that now this should be fine. I deleted maybe 20. All right, let me try again. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to refresh the page or choose another tool. What more can I do? It does work, as you can see, because obviously you just need to delete a couple of files. Make it a habit of deleting a couple of files as long as you finish your animation. Just go. It's like a clearing the cache cut type of thing. You need to clear your cache from time to time, just like that with Grok. I don't blame them. I mean, they don't have unlimited memory. I mean, they can't. It's not like they can. It's interesting that this scene is not so bad, even though I didn't type a thing. So you know what? I'm actually just gonna take it by upscaling it. This is one of those fluke moments where when you don't really do anything, you get the job done, but sometimes you do everything in your power to get the job done and still you don't get it done. Or sometimes you want to get to a location and you just manage to get there so fast, but at times you want to get there so fast, but you end up getting there after 2 hours from the rendezvous because there's traffic. It's just life. Why does this upscaling operation take so much time? Again, yeah, I mean, it's a paradox, isn't it? So the animation itself didn't take any time, but the upscaling seems to be taking an eternity, and there seems to be no end in sight. All right, finally. I believe that it's probably because there's more movements in the frame. Now let's go back to Imagine again. I think that we shouldn't have that old-fashioned problem of the memory is full. For this one, I don't really want much movements. I just simply want the characters to not make any movements, low motion. So that's what I'm going to type here. No character movement, low motion, lightning in the sky, no camera movement, no music. Of course, hitting another submit command. And here we have Luffy getting ready to punch because he knows that Loki is about. I said Loki. Loki is about to hit the tree again because he already warmed up by hitting the tree the first time, and now he's about to get ready to hit the tree second time around. I think that this one is not so bad. I just simply want to make it seem like there's minimal animation there. Lightning to signify that they're in the presence of the god of lightning in the One Piece verse, who's Loki. Luffy can also be considered as the god of lightning because he can grab lightning with his bare hands, which is crazy. Now, here I'm going to paste. If you think about it, he's actually even more powerful than Loki because, yeah, he's definitely, but if you think about it, Loki himself cannot grab lightning with his hand. Lightning would still affect him, even though he can control lightning and bring it from the sky, but it can still affect him. Okay. We saw that with Thor when he was hit with lightning as well. Now here, let me just hit another submit. I'm gonna say low motion scene, no character movement, no camera movement. Luffy is ready to punch. And here I'm gonna say no music, and that's that. Done. This is one of my better frames that I created in a long time. All right. Um, yep, I like it. Because I mean, I don't really want him to do anything besides just stand there and look like he's ready to punch. Obviously, even though we're trying to do our best to make fantastic animations, I have to admit that we will never reach Toei level animation. I'm not that stupid as to say that, well, we can make better animations than Toei. No, they're an animation studio, probably employing 1,000 people. I don't know. I mean, let's check this out. How many people do they have? I mean, I'm just one guy, even though I'm using AI. Toei Animation Studio count or personnel. Studio personnel. Personnel seems to be with two N's. God. 960 people are working at Toei Animation. So, I mean, yeah, that is that. Okay, that sums that up. Now, this one here seems to be good. Bleeding. And I didn't type a thing, but they just did it for me, which I thank them so much for that. But you can see Toei is 960 people. Here, I am one person. Okay, so to be arrogant as to say I can do better animations than them is not a good thing to say. I would say I could do AI animations that are decent, that kind of give people the thrill of the opportunity to look at things, to look at animations before or instead of having to wait for 3 years or more. But I'm not as stupid as to say, stupid. I'm saying stupid as to say that I'm better or that we are better. And neither should anybody using AI say that I'm better than Toei or we're doing this better than Toei. We still owe them their respect, to be honest. They're doing, I mean, 96 people, 960 people, a lot. I worked in a steel manufacturing company and it didn't have 900 people. I think it maybe had like 200. And it's a gigantic plant. So, yeah, 960 people is a lot of people for a company. Now, here, this is one of the frames where I would need to use the start and the ending frame technique. I'll start with this one where it looks like he's jumping, kind of like the same way I did this inflating scene where Luffy kind of inflates. And then here we have the end frame of Luffy kind of being jumping upward. Alrighty, okay. Now here the camera shouldn't move slowly, but I'm gonna say Luffy is jumping forward in the air, ready to punch. And I'll let it cook. In the meantime, I think I have another one. Now, this animation, I'm gonna paste the image itself, and I'm gonna let Grok, cook here. I think that it might do a to pretty much do anything. But to be honest, if it doesn't, then I can just customize. But this is obviously, one of the moments where Luffy's angry. It would take a lot to draw this kind of thing. By the way, though I'm using AI right now, but I'm also an artist myself, and I used to draw a lot. As a matter of fact, one time, because my father died when I was 5 years old, one time I found my father's picture, um, and it's a big picture, a real picture. And then I just decided, you know what? I'm actually gonna draw this picture. So I'm gonna say angry stare, no camera movement, no character movement. Should be crying. I mean, he's angry. That's correct, but he's definitely not crying. But they just kind of decided that they're going to make it look like he's crying. It's crazy. How could someone with a fiery eye and an angry eye be crying? I mean, I don't really even want to think about how they managed to come to that conclusion. But I'm satisfied with this because this is the stare usually Luffy gives when he's about to do damage. He did this with Kaido, when he remembered and he basically remembered every bad thing that Kaido did, and he just remembered everything. He just started remembering like Kaido is a very bad person, and that he was, pretty much putting everybody in detriment and doing a lot of damage, and that's where he basically got very angry as to give that horrific stare. Once Luffy gives you the stare, run away. Okay, run away because he's not happy. Okay, all right. So I'll download that scene, and then I think that in the meantime, I need to go check my Kling animation. Hopefully, it's a great one. And yes, it is. It is a good one. He's jumping in the air. I mean, what more could I ask for? I have this one already in the pockets. And then here we have this scene of angry Zoro. This one should be easy. I just need to copy the scene or the frame, paste into Grok, and then of course I need to ask Grok to make an animation out of it. I don't want any movement in this one. I just want frozen frame. They usually do this in even in Toei. This is a technique that they use. I If you watch anime sometime, you'll notice that sometimes the character's not making any movement. He's just stuck in a position like this, screaming or something. There's very little movement to any whatsoever. I'm gonna say no camera movement, no character movement, um, no music, lightning in the background. They actually went and animated this themselves, and it sucks. 'Cause they often do a horrendous job. But, I'm going to ask it to redo or to reconsider, right? It's hilarious. But, they try to do their best. I got to thank them for that. This one is good. This one is definitely good because it looks like it's about to go down. All right. For one last detail, I'm going to say Zoro has one eye shut with a scar. I think it misinterpreted the scar with like a like a hair, but that's a scar. Those are some of the problems I find with animations is that sometimes they don't they don't really interpret things pretty well. That's why you must reiterate, compose a different prompt. Right, this time it got it. Okay, so when I described that that is actually a scar, it basically got it. And this one is, I mean, more than I can hope for, to be honest. So let me just download this one as well. All right, it's HD now, so I guess I can download it. Now, next, this one, these two, and these two should take us to prompts because I'm going to start with this one as a starting frame. This one should be the ending frame. Starting frame is where he's here. Ending frame is where he ends up here, but with his hand inflated. In this one, his hand is already inflated. He's in position to attack, and he's about to give a punch to Loki. And so that's what I'm attempting to do. I can close Grok right now, knowing that I no longer need it. And so therefore here, I need to remove these two frames. And remember, always check that your size is 16 by 9, 5 seconds duration. You don't want to use more credits than you need. And you also don't want to choose the wrong size because if you choose the wrong size, you're going to end up having the wrong video size and you're going to end up having to redo your generation. It's going to cost you. So make sure that every time you click on the generate model, that your video that you're going to create is actually going to be useful, not just end up in trash. Now here, I'm going to paste. To be honest, I'm making decent money online, but I fell in this trap before where I just say, you know what? I got money. I mean, what's 560 tokens? I mean, it's not really that. I mean, 560 tokens is about $0.5. And in some countries, if you think about it, $0.5 can buy you a coffee from the side of the road. If you go to countries like Nigeria, other countries like third world countries, it can genuinely buy you a coffee. I went to African countries before, and I know this firsthand because it can genuinely buy you a cup of coffee without water, or maybe sometimes even with water. But to say, I have money, just spend credits like that, I don't recommend it. Okay, just be stingy. Okay, with credits, even if you're rich. Now here, I want to say Luffy is jumping forward in the air, and he inflates his arm to attack. To be honest, these scenes took me, uh, quite some time yesterday. They actually took me the entire day yesterday because I also had transformed these anime scenes into real life versions of them. Because I have another tutorial after this one in the course where I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the live action animation, you know? And the live action animation kind of works a lot better than the animations themselves. If I may, I can show you my YouTube channel. It's okay. I can show you just. I noticed that this is working when I basically created my animation of Loki versus Luffy, or Loki was released by Luffy, not in the live, but in the shorts. Here, 269,000 in 2 days, and counting, of course. I believe it can reach more. But overall, in total, by creating One Piece live action animations, I managed to get like a 33 million views. Now, some might not consider that a lot, but to be honest, I mean, if you count the grand scheme of things, yes, there are channels that have 300 million views, 400 million views, uh, a lot more views than me, 1 billion, 2 billion views. But those are the anomalies of anomalies, right? So most people are not going to get 30 million views on YouTube. That's just a fact. All right, here, this one is good. And now we're about to close in. Let me go back to the file that contains the actual images, the frames. Now, by the way, I didn't state this before, but Kling AI generates images with no sound, so you don't have to worry about that part. To be honest, when it comes to sound effects, I don't think that AI can get to such a level where it can get so powerful. I mean, Sora 2 is already great at sound effects, as well as VO 3.1, but they're not so good. I mean, sometimes they just don't make any sense whatsoever with some horrific animations or horrific sound effects. There is a tool called 11 Labs, which I introduced you to it in a separate module. And that tool can actually generate sound effects on demand. You just need to describe your sound effect that you want to create. If you want to create like a lion roar, a tiger roar, um, a camel sound, a truck sound, a ship coming from Mars landing on the Earth sound, a metal punch sound, and it's also not that good. Okay, I've tried it multiple times. It works in 50% of the cases, but it's not that good. They still need a lot of improvements on that. All right, so here, as I said, the animation that we're trying to create is Luffy's in the air with his arm inflated, and he should give Loki that business. Okay. Of course, he's not trying to beat him, he's just trying to stop him. He knows deep down Loki's good. Luffy just punched the giant with a gear 3 massive punch to the stomach, or to the gut, or to the belly. There are multiple ways on how you can say that. I'll let that cook for a second. And actually, in the meantime, what I want you to do, if you haven't downloaded CapCut yet, go ahead to Google and download CapCut because we're going to need it. Okay. Just a little breakdown, while this is working, or while Leonardo is working on creating our video. CapCut has been created by ByteDance, developer ByteDance here. And ByteDance is the company that created TikTok. Yes, you've heard it, TikTok. That's why you can see here that the CapCut colors are black and white, and it looks a lot like TikTok logo because it was created by ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. And also, ByteDance they have recently created another tool, AI tool, kind of like their own VO3 or Sora 2, and they called it C Dance. It's not that great, but it's not bad. Okay, I have to say. Uh, Usually, I would prefer Kling. Kling is also a Chinese product, which is what we're using now, but it's much better, I believe, than C Dance. I think that they have some improvements to do in that department. But to be honest with you, CapCut is my goodness. It's just insane, you know. And I say that it's not. It's only a matter of time before CapCut just is much or is going to be considered to be better than Adobe Premiere. I think that now everybody's using CapCut, but they're not using Adobe Premiere because CapCut is made for the people. It's made for the person with no video editing skills, right? It's made for. It's like the Canva of design. Okay, that's what CapCut is. Like if you compare Canva and Photoshop, Canva is now taking a lead because it is made for the people, for the commoner. Photoshop is made for the experts, for the educated, for the great designers. That is the difference. Now, of course, both they have their own clientele, but in terms of who's going to potentially be more successful and thrive, I believe it's CapCut. Just the same way that I believe that Canva is going to thrive over Photoshop. Um, so make sure that you download CapCut from CapCut.com. Please do not go to any other website besides CapCut.com. If you are in the countries that in one of the countries that are blacklisted by CapCut, do not try to download CapCut from a third-party website because these websites are just spammy websites, and you will just end up downloading a spyware or malware. You might end up downloading keylogger into your computer, and then they might end up getting access to your email and password, and next thing you know, your email is gone. And next thing you know, if you have a YouTube channel linked to it, you can consider that gone as well. And if you have a bank account attached to it, you can consider that gone. So be very careful about where you download your stuff. Now, another thing is, what was I going to say? If you are from the blacklisted countries, try using a VPN and go to CapCut.com. If the VPN trick doesn't work, try using a different VPN like McAfee, like a paid VPN. If that still doesn't work, then I'm sorry to say that you will not be able to use CapCut. Now, I already have CapCut, so I don't need to download it. I actually, what I need to do right now is I need to go grab my scene. It just didn't work. And to be honest, I expected it not to work. And it's clear because there's not so much connection between both scenes. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm actually going to use this as a starting frame, and I'm going to use this as an ending frame. And the last frame, I'm going to animate it separately using Grok. I'm going to say Luffy in the air, ready to launch his massive gear or his massive punch. And in Grok, I'm going to go to grok.com, and we're actually going to animate that scene alone. Or we're solely going to animate that scene. Okie dokie. So look at this little cute animal here. Now let's go to imagine. I'm already here, and I'm going to copy my scene here because this is such a complex scene. We're going to be a little tricky. And I don't really want any movement whatsoever in this scene. There's a horrendous scene there need to cover. I mean, how real does Grok or do Grok videos look? It's unbelievable. I'm gonna say, okay, no camera movement, no character movement, low motion, No music, One Piece animation, manga animation. If you don't want any sound, then you can remove the sound once you generate. There's a trick in CapCut which allows you to extract video sound from a video. And we're actually about to do it to all these videos because I was never a fan of Grok sound. As a matter of fact, I was never a fan of any kind of sound besides sound effects. I think that this is a pretty good scene. All right, it's good. It's great. I like it. The final blow. Upscale the video. You can see here Luffy's giant hand. Let me go check back here. I think that my scene is ready. Oh, come on. This is not good. It's absolutely not good at all. That didn't work. Okay, no problem. I'm gonna go and download this particular scene, and I actually think I'll do that last one, or I'll do this one alone as well. Though I tried to make it like a start and ending frame type of animation, but it just didn't work. So I'm just gonna go ahead here. By the way, these videos that you see here are not my own videos. I'm not so creative as to create all that stuff. I'm not Pablo Picasso. Okay. Now here, I'm gonna paste the exact same prompt from before. We don't want that much movement. We just want to make it seem like that this is the prior scene to obviously the last scene, which is where Loki gets his stomach hit. And yeah, that's that. This is the first, second, right? First and second. There's not much movement there. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. No camera movement, but I'm gonna say Luffy is about to punch. Let's try this one because that one sucks. Luffy's hand looks like a light bulb. The way the light is kind of emanating from it. There's not much movement. This is particularly not a great scene. Most of the time, I don't have any knowledge about animations the way Toei does, but I use my feeling. Okay. No camera movement, no character. I think that the low motion part is also contributing to no movement. Let me remove that for a second. It's not like Luffy should stay stuck there in the air, kind of like extending in the air. I like the vein things, on his arm. I think that's hilariously fantastic. I mean, yeah, Suno's great with music. Definitely, there are people that have made careers and creating music with Suno. I saw in one case there's this cat here, lady that made $3 million from Suno music. Yes, there she is. She signed a multi-million-dollar record deal, and her name is Xania Monet. All right, let's search Xania Monet. She basically even down to the images that she created. She created AI images of herself. Now, this is her real self. This is what she looks like in real life. And this is an interview with CBS News. And this is the picture that she created for her AI artist. And next thing you know, the crazy thing is that people actually believed that she was a real person. That's the crazy part. They believe that she's real. That's crazy. And then next thing you know, they were listening. Like for instance, this song here, How Was I Supposed to Know? It has 1,130,000 views. And I can only imagine how much money she got paid for that by Spotify because she posted her music on Spotify. So yes, I mean, if you maybe you can get lucky, you can start your music empire now with AI as well. You can maybe create a Spotify profile. I mean, you got nothing to lose. Create a Spotify artist profile and start posting some music. Use AI to create like an image of yourself, like a not entirely a fake image, but I mean, this is the image she created with AI. And now people are starting to say that she copied this character here. I don't think she did. I just think that she looks like this character. You can still see there are some distinctions between both these two. They don't look exactly the same, but and from this angle you can see it better. But yeah, that's a thing where AI can do these types of crazy things. All right. Now, where's our punch? Come on. I mean, I want just a little movement. I mean, okay, so let me try to remove this part where it says no camera movement. I think I shouldn't have put that there. Luffy doesn't have a tattoo, but they kind of added the tattoo there because the axe and the helmet, they kind of thought that Luffy's a Viking or something because Vikings mostly had tattoos, or did they? I'm not sure. Now here, because uh, they're kind of seeing that I have a bunch of uh, okay, I don't know which one to choose to be honest. This one is great, but I'm gonna end up picking this one because he has the helmet on. I think this one is better because the other one, in the other one, he looks like he's traveling through a black hole or something. This one is better, not so bad. I could make it work. But first, let's just upscale. Yeah, download. This is the last piece of the puzzle. Now let's go to my file, and here, obviously, I'm gonna need to go to B-roll. And usually in my B-roll file, I put all the videos that I need for a particular animation. The other day, I was looking at a argument in my one of my videos. There was a bunch of people arguing about, I mean, one was basically telling the others, I mean, do you guys agree that AI should be able to animate? And you know, they were kind of bullying people for commenting good comments on AI and that AI can do good animations. So there was a guy that said that one of my videos is great, and then a guy said, "Hey, you shouldn't be saying that. This is just AI." And the guy said, "If AI is good, I don't care. I like the content. I like the content. That's it." But they just kind of they didn't like that, right? They didn't. They were hating on the man for liking what he likes, right? I think I could just close this thing here. I think that now I need full concentration. I just need Google on because I would need to go and download some sound effects. But go to CapCut, me that much. I probably would need just a bunch of sound effects. I already have a lot of sound effects that I have from previous projects. I think I have like 1,000 sound effects or more. The other day, I was teaching my brother how to do some videos as well, and I pretty much shared the file with him. That he doesn't know the value of that file, but if I were to sell that file, I'd probably sell it for $1,000 because It just has a bunch of sound effects that can create an entire 1 hour movie. I even lion sound effects. So that's how good it is. Uh, this is the tree. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but looks like the tree has an eye or something. Let me just no, no, no. It was just an illusion. Okay. So usually what I do is I usually drag the scenes one by one. And here in the cover, I mute the track and zoom out. Now this is the first scene. You have to remember that you don't want to bore people out. You don't want a boring scene to take an eternity. So what I would usually do to a particular scene like this, where it just basically shows a mountains and some tree, I usually would speed this up. I usually would click on a scene and speed it up. So I'd speed this twice because then it would only take 3 seconds and it will just unveil other stuff. And now because this scene has some lightning and some sea sound, I'm going to click on the import and go to my downloads and I'm going to look for sea. And as I said, I have every sound effect under the sun. So I just need to do a search unless I made the mistake of deleting my sound effects without noticing. I don't think so. So these are the sea waves. So I want a sea wave sound effect to play out. I could cut that first part here, click on the at the end, and then delete the right hand side, fade out to smoothen the last bit of the sound, just reduce the volume of the waves. And I also need some wind sound. So I just need to do a search of wind, Arctic. As I said, I have every sound effect under the sun. And for the wind, you don't need the wind sound to be overwhelming. You want to reduce it to below 10 decibels. And I also need some lightning sound. Lightning. Lightning is lightning. I mean, one thing is, if you want these sounds, you can get them at Pixabay by just going to Google and searching for the sound that you want. Let me just do a practical example here. Go to Google and search for wind sound effect, for example. Wind SFX Pixabay. SFX is short for sound effects because obviously we don't want to say sound effects all the time because it just takes more time to write that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm lazy, not in a bad way, but here you can see all the wind sound effects. And you can just, if you want a desert sound effect, for example, or desert wind is what you can get. If you want an Arctic sound effect, you can search for Arctic winter wind. There's different kinds of winds. Not all wind is the same. Now, because mostly I want the wind sound to be prevalent in the entire video, this wind sound effect is about 1 minute long. So I'm going to keep it there because I'm going to need it for the other scenes. Here, we have a particular scene where Luffy is standing next to Sanji and they're arguing. And in this scene as well, I don't want it to be that long, okay? I want to cut to the chase. And I just want to remove a chunk of it. I want to move to the action pretty quickly. Some One Piece sound effects from the lore, from the not the lore, but the world of One Piece. Here, One Piece sound effects. I'm pretty sure I have a big file of One Piece sound effects. It took me maybe 2 months to get all these sound effects in one place. One Piece sound. Where is it? I don't remember where I placed it. Let me try on the desktop. Oh, come on, man. I don't remember where I put it. Let me try one thing here. Yeah, there it is. One Piece SFX. It has most of the sounds that are popular. And what I want is the reveal sound. The reveal sound is usually that sound they make when they kind of like show a final boss. And if I put it here, watch. As you can see, that's kind of a good one. And because he's preparing a lightning powered strike, I want some lightning. So, and here I also want to apply some rainstorm sounds. Let's try to listen to the mix of sound effects. I'm gonna lower the sound a bit, and here I'm gonna go. I don't think I have any lightning here, but Loki has Conqueror's Hockey, okay, and so therefore he should be using, or he should be, emanating, or there should be some Conqueror's Hockey sound effects as well. I'm gonna apply it from here, and I'll cut it as I see fit. As you can see, you're kind of hearing that Conqueror's Hockey sound. And to be honest, for lightning, I think I'm just gonna go old-fashioned lightning because he's obviously the god of lightning. So I'm gonna use the same effect, except for it's gonna be softer. Right, that's good. And I can cut that sound right there. I can also cut the Conqueror's Hockey sound and then go forward. Now, I think that as far as the lightning, I would extend it a bit more, and I would take this particular scene where, and then here we have this scene where just begging him. This one as well is where Zoro is basically talking. He's not going to do a thing because obviously Zoro knows the kind of mentality. I think I don't need to speed this one up because I'm just going to ruin it. And I want this to be really a fast one. Now here, this one, I want to be very careful because I want to make it look like Luffy's packing a punch. And here I have one sound in particular where the fist ready. It's called fist ready, and usually it's where in One Piece. Look at this. And if I were to make it make the sound or increase the sound like this, and I don't want this to be a big scene. I want to speed it up as much as possible because it's very low motion. All right, Luffy's ready to punch. Mind you, we're still at only 21 seconds, so that's great because we can turn this into a short. There, he's basically angry. I don't want to show him for that much. And you have to also remember that people nowadays don't really have that much of a attention span. Yeah, this one, I'm going to take some lightning strike. I'm also going to take some legacy conquerors and apply it from here between the scene of Luffy and Loki because both of them have conquerors to kind of, build up. And here as well, I want to add the conquerors hockey to the Luffy scene, but I want to speed it up. I want to speed it up more and decrease the conquerors hockey. And here, this one is one of my favorite scenes to animate, to be honest, because here I need to animate that jump. It's not a teleportation, it's a jump. This one. It's a jump sound that characters do make when they jump. There you go. I just need to increase the sound of the jump. And I also think that it would be fit to increase the video speed. Let's check this out. I think that I'll decrease the video speed a tiny bit, and then I'll just get rid of that part where Luffy turns around like that, because he kind of goes back in reverse, and I don't want that. I want to make it seem like he's going forward. So now it's going to make more sense. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Okay. Now, here, I want to make the Zoro scene also very good. Speed it up more. Not that much, I think. And I also would like to apply some lightning, because there's lightning in the background. And I also would like to apply that One Piece reveal sound effect, because this is an important scene where Zoro is kind of making a point to Luffy that, hey, do not break this guy. He's not a bad dude. He might actually look like a bad dude, but he's not. Now for the gear third, um, I think I could get gear third sound from, if I'm correct, from YouTube. I think I just need to search for gear third sound effect. I hope they don't take me to the cars. Yeah, they took me to cars. One Piece. I don't want the gear third of the cars. I want the real deal gear third. This one is good. So I'll open. Yeah, it was done with the recorder, X recorder. Pause. By the way, beware of X recorder, because people can use that to record anything. Now here I'm gonna go to Google and use a tool called YouTube Video Downloader. It allows me to download a video. And to be honest, I'm only interested in the sound effect part of the video. I'm not really interested in everything. All right, so as you can see, it's verifying that I'm human. Good thing. Now I'm gonna get the video. I don't care about the video quality. I would get it at 144, because again, I'm only interested in the sound. It should take maybe 2 seconds to download this video, because it's only 4 seconds. They seem to take the same amount of time for all videos to make it a standard. Maybe with some software limitation. I don't blame them. All right, so here I just need to import now. So I'm going to import this particular video, One Piece Gear Third sound effect. And here, if I just drag and drop it, the way this works is by dragging and dropping it here below in the sound effect area, or not the sound effect, I'm sorry, in the video area, but clicking on the right click hand side, right click, right, and then click extract audio. And now you just get rid of this. Okay, just get rid of the video itself. You don't need that. In here, I'm gonna put the sound effect right over here, but I'm gonna make sure that I just delete that first bit, because there's nothing there. And I'm gonna make sure that I speed this a little bit to match the sound. And voila. So if we watch now, you can see that that makes a lot of sense, right? Now, should we make Luffy, or should we animate Luffy's scream when he punches? I think it should be fair. Now let me just drag and drop this, for instance, first and foremost. I would like an animation where he actually says gear third. So let me just go and try to look for a video of that nature. He must say gear third. Gear third, One Piece punch. There's plenty of Gear Third issues that when I watch a video here, it's a copyright infringing type of thing. Is this a music or I think that I have no other option besides using having to watch just a little part of a video. Yeah, I actually like this one where he says Bonifusen. So I'm actually going to take that one. It seems like he doesn't. I'm pretty sure I've heard him many times say Gear Third. By the way, do not trust anybody that says you can buy subscribers. Do not buy subscribers, okay? Because you're just gonna buy a bot and it's gonna ruin your channel. So many people got their channels deleted because they were buying subscribers. You think you're the real deal when you're doing it, but it's not. It's not a good thing. Besides 0.063, okay, let's say you want to buy 10 subscribers, that's going to cost you 0 or 0.36. If you want to buy 100, it's going to cost you $3.6. If you want to buy 1,000, it's going to cost you $36. If you want to buy 10,000, it's going to cost you $360 to buy following of bots. Okay, that are never going to watch your videos. They're going to ruin your algorithmic growth. And there's just no way to climb the ladder other than climbing the ladder. It seems like some Game of Thrones type of stuff that I'm saying right now, but you cannot climb the ladder by using tricks. Yeah, actually, with the lightning, I mean the thunder. But lightning and thunder both do go hand in hand. The thunder is that sound that lightning is the lightning. Hopefully, I don't go into full bug mode here because CapCut really does tax my. I'm using some of the most complex microphones out there, so it's also taxing. I have a pretty good camera. Yes, this is yeah. He actually said Gear Third, so I need to make sure that I keep that part, and I will remove this. So now I can just extract the audio where he says Gear Third. I mean, that's how he says it in the end. I was going to increase the audio of it, the volume of it, and we can watch it right now. I think that I can cut that last bit. And yeah, the final part is the punch. In the punch, I have multiple sound effects. I have GARP sound effects. I have a couple of massive destruction sound effects. I'm going to speed this scene a little bit. And then I'm going to go to import. I'm going to go to my One Piece stack of scenes or sound effects. And the punch. Where is the punch? The punch, the punch, the punch. Fiery sound. Epic punch. Yeah, there it is. Epic punch. Okay, hopefully it just is a pretty good one. Let's just do this. All right. Epic punch. I'm also going to add some blood splatter because Loki was actually bleeding. After he got hit, he's also going to continue bleeding. But obviously, Luffy doesn't want to hurt him. He knows that his punch is not going to do deadly damage to Loki. He wants him to join his crew, so he doesn't really want to hurt him. I'm gonna remove and clean up every single sound there, and I'm gonna zoom out to fit the timeline. Here, I'm gonna make sure of one thing: my size should be 16 by 9, and so therefore I need to make sure every scene of mine is 16 by 9. It seems like not every scene is 16 by 9, but first, let me just select all of my scenes, right click here, extract the audio, and I'll extract the Grok sounds. Then I'll just trash the Grok sounds by removing all of them. Right here, we have a bunch of scenes. Let me check them out, check their sizes. I think they're all the same size. So I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to scale all of them at the same time just a little bit here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm also make sure that you have all the scenes selected, and then click on adjust. This is to just improve the quality of your video. Auto adjust, color correction. I would not apply color correction to the max. And here I would also apply a particular filter. And the filter that I'm going to apply is a Hollywood type filter. So here in my favorites, I have a bunch of filters, and one of them is Hollywood filter. And I also will apply the 4K filter to add a 4K type quality to the video. But the Hollywood filter kind of makes it dark, right? Because it adds a lot of contrast. So I'm going to put it at maybe around 30 plus. And here I'll go to filters. I'll search for 4K. 4K kind of transforms the quality to 4K. That's what it says. That's what it means. And that's just to improve the quality, make it a little more grainy. And now we can watch our scene. Now, unfortunately for me, even though I have a great, I mean, my computer is not cheap. I mean, I bought it with, I bought it for the price of $1,500. So it's not like it's the cheapest computer around. But when you're recording content and you're also using a video editing software and a video recording software, what usually happens is that your computer can get into a very, very slow mode. So I will not be able to go full screen and watch this normally because it will just be very slow. So what I will do instead is I'll just watch it like this on a slow screen, low screen, or small screen. Let's do it back, okay? Let's run it back. One, two, three. Let's watch our creation. All right, that's not bad. Now, of course, in order to export this project, I just need to click the export button and find a location where I want to export this. Usually for this, I would go for 60 frames per second, 4K quality, and I would just name this like Luffy punches Loki to stop him. And click export, optical flow. And all of this stuff, all this time that we spent, how much? I spent 2 hours just on this tutorial, plus spending about maybe 4 or 5 hours yesterday just to get the scenes or the images correct for the purpose of turning them into videos. So just for the sake of about 40 seconds, because this is 39.25, so 40 seconds worth of video, worth of animation, we spent about 7 hours. But I'm satisfied with the outcome. So that's that. And hopefully you've learned a massive thing. And hopefully you can also start animating One Piece and helping us animate every single thing that Toei is going to take 3 or 4 years to animate. Thank you very much for your presence, and I'll see you in the next module.